There's a strange kind of feeling that comes with sending money across border from Nigeria, especially when that money determines whether your car gets released, whether your supplier trusts you, whether your business moves forward or stalls for another week. You send the payment and then you wait and you start calling and someone says, we haven't received it yet. And suddenly a transaction that shouldn't take hours starts affecting your business. For a lot of African importers, this is normal life, not because they are doing bad business, but because the financial infrastructure that currently exists was never designed for the speed modern day currently deserves. Today's conversation is about that hidden, invisible struggle that exists, the trust issues, the hidden cost nobody talks about, and more importantly, what happens when people who understand the problem decides to build a platform that solves it. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Sydney Iguatu, the COO of Clea, a payment platform that supports cross-border payment infrastructure for African importers, and also someone who actively is inside the import ecosystem experiencing these realities firsthand. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So before Clea, before fintech, before cross-border payments, who was Sydney at 23?
Oh, wow. That's far back. So Sydney was, still is anyway, but he was a hot-headed system, network, and security professional in the IT space. Had a lot of zeal for the IT world and trying to make it safer for people to use and all that. So I'm still there, not as active.
So what were you trying to build at that point?
Well, at that point, I was trying to make sure that wherever I found myself in, I was keeping it safe in the sense that networks, systems, servers, all of that were less vulnerable to external attacks.
So it's safe to say that you were trying to ensure that whatever infrastructure or platform that people have access to was safe to use.
Exactly.
That's interesting. So I think a lot of people outside the automotive industry where Clea currently plays don't actually understand how complex vehicle importation really is. From outside, what people see are just beautiful cars, or they have a dream car that they desire and all they just want is for it to appear because they have the financial means to. But I think one thing we will both agree to is that behind one imported vehicle is an entire chain of movement, trust, timing, and money, right? Can you help us break down what the auto import ecosystem really looks like?
Okay. So if I'm to say start to finish, we'll start from a customer or the dealer. In this case, the importer trying to secure or buy a car from the US or wherever it is in the US that he wants to buy. So you probably contact a dealer or an auction and then verify that the car is what he wants, like use his expertise anyways, to be sure that what he's actually buying is what he wants, right? Because I'm going to say this like this, that not everything you see online is actually true. You could see a car, everything looks okay, and then when you actually get to buying it and picking it up, then you see something different. So you have to be sure that all those things are in place, even with the dealer itself. In fact, let's put it this way. You see, when it comes to anything Africa and money or anything, there's already a stigma that is on that African continent that is fraud related or something. So to say you want to buy, once they hear you're a Nigerian especially, that conversation is almost dead.
So there's a frustration that comes in when
transacting business. So but say you overcome that now and then you've secured the car, you bought it from either the auction or the dealer. One of the major areas where there's a big problem is payments. Number one, US companies will tell you they want the payment to be in your name. They want the money to come from you. So supposing I buy a car of, say, $25,000, let's say, I don't know what car it is, but a recent car, and then I want to make payments. First of all, sending payments from Nigeria already raises a flag with them there, because the company has to be allowed by their own system there to receive that payment in from an external party, especially Nigeria. Then when you actually finally cross that hurdle and say, yes, I can make the payment, you now come to your local bank here in Nigeria. The limit, I think, for a personal account to send money daily or something using deposits is $10,000. So it means you have to send multiple payments. That's extra charges that go in like that. And then the hassle. Another thing is the bank might tell you, okay, you cannot send this money for this car if you don't have this paper or this document and all. So it's that already is another challenge. Then, okay, you paid for the car now. You have to move the car from wherever it is to the port and to Nigeria. That's one alone. You don't have the contacts. You have to rely on either third party or somebody else to help. Then also shipping and all. And, because if you don't know something, it looks like it's rocket science, right? But for people like we that have been in the business, it's just something we do in our sleep.
So how long would you say you've been navigating this industry?
I've been in the auto import industry for almost 7-8 years.
Okay.
So you face, and the challenges are not the same. They come different, peculiar to every business, and sometimes it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So while you were talking about, like, just saying, for instance, you want to import a vehicle and it costs about 28,000, and then you have a limit of 10,000. Right. So people talk about exchange rate a lot, especially with the relationship between naira to dollar, and even of course every other currency out there. But I think personally that the real cost is deeper than FX, right? You might have access to fund, but then there is delayed confirmations. There's also storage fees. There's missed auction window. There is middlemen. There's failed trust that happens between buyers and suppliers because of one thing or the other. So from what you have seen, I want you to speak as both, a technical person that is very much involved in building this infrastructure, because it's ongoing, constantly making it better, and also one who also imports. From what you have seen, how expensive is this payment friction actually, affecting African importers?
Well, you see, one thing I've learned over time is that we always believe, we have people all over the world, right? So sometimes you'll be like, okay, I have somebody here that can do it for me. I have somebody that can do it for me. Or you just call a friend. I'm like, it's not far from my place. I can do it. But we also forget that these people have lives of their own, right? Now, I'll use different options, right? So, okay, we have a car that we want to buy or we have bought, and then there is always a deadline. So you don't just buy and then you have 1 month for you to pay. No, they give you a deadline. I think for Copart it's about 7 days or something. But charges, they start giving you, like, you start having charges on the 3rd day. And then for IE, I think it's about 7 days or something as well. So now you want to try and meet up to avoid those charges, because remember, the charges are not in naira, they're in dollars. So as little as $50 right now is almost 70K or something like that, and all this enters into your profits, right? So you're trying to beat that. So you're going through all options, going to the banks, local banks, you're going to BDCs to try and see if they can pay for you. And many of these companies in the US that we buy from auctions, they also have policies. There's no third-party payments. There's no you can't pay at the branch or something like that. You can't use cards and all of that. You understand? So it's crazy. You understand? So now, because you want to beat that deadline, you start looking for options that don't exist or should not even be considered. Like, okay, my brother is in the US, he can pay for me. And then when you get to your brother now, he will tell you, I have work, I have this, I have that. And then 3 days is gone. And these people, remember that you're the one that is going to give them the money. The money has left your hands, you've transferred to them, and then you're now waiting. How far? Are you paying? And your days are counting. So by that already, you are losing money. You understand? Then aside that, you go to maybe the local banks. You put the wrong narration in your transfer. They block it. And they won't tell you. You just know that 2 days, money has not gone. You wonder why. The next day you call your account and say, you put vehicle. You're not supposed to pay vehicle. Go and bring a form M or something.
So some
like
of this documentation are tedious and are not easily corrected.
Yes. So it's not like there's no feedback. Like something that you do something wrong, they call you up and say, you didn't do it correctly. Come and quickly do this. And remember that, and our time here, 4 p.m. Once it's 4 p.m., you can't call anybody again, even customer care on our side. So it's like that. So it raises a lot of challenges. And then there are agents too. So with time in this business, you find out there are agents that can help you pay. And then for every amount you want to pay, you settle them a fee. And even with that, you don't know whether they are buying good money, bad money, over the top money, only God knows.
Now, I'm curious, having established that there are quite a lot of things that goes into it that affects whatever exists right now that is also causing the friction. Why then would you dare creating a platform?
You see, you don't know you can solve a problem until you think outside the box. You could, I'll give you an example. The power sector in Nigeria has always been a problem, and everybody was running Abetabaspendable at some point. But if you notice now, we don't really have people running gens anymore. They now went, okay, you know what, we can do inverters. And even they will take themselves off the grid. So that's them actually thinking outside the box. So we thought about it that we have always encountered problems. You pay today I've been involved in a scam. In fact, I would say you will not be an importer in Nigeria if they have not scammed you. You have not yet gotten there. You understand? Like that's the highlight of it. You've not been in a business that involves foreign currency if you have not been scammed by somebody, one person or the other. It means your volume is not that much. You understand?
So what you're trying to say is that the more volume you do, the more susceptible you are to being scammed.
Yes. In fact, because imagine you have almost $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 to pay.
So why dare to build a platform?
Because should I say myself, I'm the CEO, my CEO, who's Sheriff, we wanted to avoid people that we knew falling into such hands anymore. And if we wanted to stop being middlemen, because we used to help people pay and all that. We had people that we employed that were doing all this. But it was becoming stressful. The more people know you, the more they come to you. The more they know you're trustworthy, they come to you. And then the volume keeps increasing. But
so it wasn't scalable.
It wasn't scalable. So we're like, no, we have to think of something. So that's where the thought of Clea started coming. And then we try this. We say, okay, it works, but it's not what we want. It's not this. And that was where the idea of Clea came in.
So it was more or less you trying to first solve your own problem,
yes,
and then extending the solution to other people. Now that's cool. One thing I want to also ask is this. So now we've established the fact that you you built Clea to solve your own problem, and then you extended it to the public. And the idea was to be able to create a safe platform that was also going to be scalable for you as a business. So what does that mean for users?
It means that you have peace of mind.
Okay.
In the auto import, in fact, in anything importation, there is hardly ever peace of mind. Your heart is always in your mouth, and then the moment money leaves your hands to whoever it is you're giving, because that's where the problem is you're dealing in FX, dollars. The conversion rate is crazy. $5,000 is almost 7 million or thereabout, if I'm right. You understand? So the ratio at what you are paying compared to the naira you're living out is a lot, and it can make you go crazy. So we wanted something that we built on that. If you put in your money, you already have that confidence that nothing's happening, no problems. Once you hit click convert, send. All you have to do is just sit back. Don't even move from the chair. Just go on TikTok or something, and then you're good. Before you know it, your account is credited. So we wanted to give people that ease of use, that what they call it, reliability, that you can trust this process. And we did it over time. We used it for ourselves, and then when we saw that it was scalable, we started telling our friends, okay, try it first. We weren't even pushing, but like, try it first.
Yeah, that would take me to the question about how you were able to then start integrating, with the community. What was it like? People embracing the solution. I'm sure it must have been a strange thing. We are familiar with banks.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now if
So
someone is saying that I can help you.
I think a lot goes into how people see you as well.
Okay.
The name has to tell. If you are somebody that they have given money in the past, and then once something happened to the money, you just know that anything money, don't make sure anyway. So the people I work with or that knew me already knew my name. So I kind of rode on that. And then we were like, okay, Sheriff is more tech than I am. So we built something that, okay, you use your relationship in the industry, get people close to you to try it out first. Then let's see what happens.
So you were more about securing the trust of the people.
Yes. So we called the first person.
Why was that important?
Because the business is risk based. Even the so-called people that we're dealing with, they all know. So for them to even trust you to give you their business, it takes a lot. So we wanted to make sure that we started with people we knew that already trusted the brand, trusted the name, and then we now started. And anything about the car industry is referrals. Trust me. Forget you would win a customer quickly if he tells somebody else about you than you just walking up to him. You understand? Because if do you know this person? In fact, the question they will ask you is who is using you? Do you understand? Or who uses this platform? I just mentioned, do you know this person? Do you know this person? And then it moves like that. So it was based on trust. And then by the time people used it and saw how easy it was, I think it was easy after that.
That's cool. So for me, I want to piggyback on what you said about the problem with FX. Sometimes you hear that the rate is high, at other times it's average, then at other times it's low. Also in the industry, it's been impacted by a lot of things, government policies, even platform policies. How were you able to build stability in the business and also in the system itself?
I've always been one that considers my clients, my customers, because I know, it's not even I believe, every naira counts into in the long run towards your profit. So if we overhype the conversion, that's the rates, it affects you in the long run. Because like I said, it's dollar based. So every dollar counts, every naira converted counts. So at the end of the day, we were like, you know what? The platform is built on blockchain, right? So there's always going to be a limitless supply of FX. So that's not a problem. It's not about the FX now. It's about, do you trust us enough to try us out? You get. Then at the other side is, we looked at the current banking system in Nigeria, and we are like, we cannot be overcharging, because if not, they can use the banks here. You understand? With whatever the limitations and all, they could still use the bank. So what we tried to do was to make sure that we were considerate of the FX rates, and then really considerate on the charges.
Okay.
So the more you do, and then we how will I put this word now? We try to make sure that there were less limits.
From what we have said so far, I think we can say that what companies like Clea is trying to do is bigger than payments. It's about reducing frictions for businesses, so that they can operate more confidently across borders. So I want to say thank you for your time and for being here. It's
Thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much for having me. Thank you so much.